I've been child-free with my husband for 30 years, yet he secretly has 3 illegitimate children behind my back, 3 kids, 3 different mothers. The eldest is 37, the second is 28, and the youngest is shockingly only 5 years old. Learning the truth, I was so furious that I suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and was rushed into the operating room. My husband, disregarding our over 30 years of marital bond, actually gave up on saving me outside the operating room. I was left with no heirs and died in resentment, while my husband enjoyed a house full of children and grandchildren, living a blissful life in his later years. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn in the year when my parents were still alive, and my poor young husband was passionately pursuing me. "Doctor, my wife has been a princess all her life, she's never suffered any grievances, and this time I don't want her to endure pain, so we won't proceed with resuscitation." The well-dressed, slick old man in a high-end suit spoke with sanctimonious righteousness to the frowning doctor, even though just a minute earlier, the doctor had clearly stated that there was still a chance to save me. He is the husband who has been married to me for 30 years, chose to be childless for me, retired as a high-ranking official, and has always shown deep love for me. Bo Lee, yes, that old woman has lived long enough, always occupying the position without contributing. Dad, my mom has waited for you for over 30 years, and the property she left behind, a middle-aged woman, nearly 40 years old, couldn't wait to interject. "What right does your country bumpkin mother have? Honey, when are we going to get our marriage certificate? We need to make sure our little treasure is legitimate." The coquettishly dressed young woman clung to Bo Lee's arm and cooed softly, with a 5-year-old boy standing beside her. The middle-aged woman and the younger woman began to argue. My soul watched coldly as my husband smiled smugly, clearly relishing the attention from the women around him. He had deceived me for half a lifetime. A Phoenix man from the countryside who used my family's resources to climb the social ladder, ultimately gaining both fame and fortune. He deceived my feelings, tricked me into being child-free, and ended up monopolizing my family's wealth while enjoying a house full of descendants. He played me like a fool, and now he wants my life too. Bo Lee, I won't let you get away with this, I snarled as my claw-like hands passed through his body before vanishing. I died at the age of 55. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself waking up on a hospital corridor bench, drenched in sweat. "Ivy, sorry to keep you waiting, I specially bought your favorite coffee," said a tall, handsome man as he ran toward me, holding a coffee in his right hand and a registration slip in his left. Noticing the sweat on my forehead, he immediately pulled out a tissue and moved to wipe it for me. I raised my hand to stop his approaching gesture. I couldn't believe my eyes as I stared at the face of the man who was being so attentive to me. It was Bo Lee, looking over 30 years younger. I'd recognize him even if he were reduced to ashes. "Ivy, what's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that? Are you scared? Don't be afraid, I'm here with you." Not only has Bo Lee become younger, but so have I. I effortlessly accepted the fact that I had been reborn, counting back. Today is the day I secretly went to the hospital for an abortion without my parents' knowledge. At this time, Bo Lee wasn't yet my husband. He was just a Phoenix man from a remote rural area who, after years of hard work, had passed the civil service exam in City S, attempting to change his fate, and was now fervently pursuing me, even though he knew I was already carrying my ex-boyfriend's child in my belly. He still volunteered to pretend to be my boyfriend and accompanied me to the abortion procedure. It was so touching that it moved the hopelessly love-struck me from my past life. The nurse began calling my number. I suddenly changed my mind. In my previous life and this one, my ex-boyfriend, whom I had been with for 7 years and planned to marry by the end of the year, couldn't wait to dump me when a more outstanding admirer pursued him. He then ran off abroad with that person to pursue a PhD. I was filled with resentment. Back then, my parents strongly opposed my relationship with my ex-boyfriend. Because we were not a good match in terms of social status, I didn't listen to my parents' advice and even called them old-fashioned. Now I'm too ashamed to discuss it with them. So I foolishly ignored my physical condition and was determined to abort the baby in my womb at all costs. In my past life, this surgery damaged my health at its core, which later allowed Bo Lee to take advantage and persuade me to remain childless. I regret my past decisions, and my parents are heartbroken, But there's nothing that can be done about it now. Now, everything is about to change. I won't have the surgery. I want this child. I tore up the examination slip and walked away from the operating room without looking back. For the sake of my future, keeping the child and leaving the father might not be a bad idea. Ivy, you're still young. Getting pregnant before marriage is not good no matter how you look at it. It will affect your reputation. Bo Lee anxiously chased after me, persistently urging me to think twice. You also need to consider your future marriage. These days, which man would be willing to raise another man's child? I stopped and looked at Bo Lee's incessantly talking mouth, then smiled. Every word he said seemed to be for my own good. If I hadn't known his true nature, I might have been moved by his apparent devotion to me and believed him to be a good man. Indeed, no one wants to raise someone else's child, and I am no exception. In my past life, his illegitimate daughter became my goddaughter. For my goddaughter, I exhausted myself mentally and physically, spending money and connections to help her get into college, pouring out my maternal love. Who would have thought she was my husband's illegitimate daughter? Scheming with him to take my family fortune while I was on the brink of death. I'm nothing but a joke, Brother Lee. I know you mean well, but this is my own matter. There's no need for you to worry about it. Go back to work. Without even glancing at Bo Lee's awkward and resentful face, I drove straight home. On the way home, I kept thinking about how to explain it to my parents. I actually really love children. The reason I didn't want the one in my belly at first was because I hated my ex-boyfriend for betraying me. Later, when I wanted to have children, I kept having miscarriages. Things just didn't go as planned, and in the end, I had no luck with having kids. Unexpectedly, when my parents found out I was pregnant, instead of scolding me, they felt even more sorry for me. I told you that boyfriend of yours wasn't a good match. Sure, he's intelligent, but his emotional intelligence is too low, and his pride is inexplicably strong. Always thinking we look down on him, my father slammed the table, angrily denouncing my ex-boyfriend. Breaking up is for the best, better than finding out after marriage that the man isn't reliable. Hooey, our family has money. Raising 1 or 2 children isn't a problem. At worst, your parents will support you for life. We're not snobs. But there's some truth to the old saying about marrying within one's own class. In that moment, I hugged my mother and burst into tears of frustration, crying over my hopelessly romantic brain. First tricked by a social climber, then deceived by Bo Lee, throwing away the rest of my life, I went to work as usual. But Bo Lee, who was from the same workplace, never appeared before me again after that day. Even my colleagues thought we had a falling out. Little did they know we were never together in the first place. When he found out that I was an only child from a well-off family, and that my uncle was a city official, he started creating chance encounters with me every day, subtly probing into my relationship status. After we exchanged contact information, he insisted on sending me dozens of greeting messages daily, bringing me breakfast in the morning, and walking me home at night, even after I clearly rejected him. He remained undeterred and kept up his efforts. His excessive attentiveness made others assume we were in a relationship. Nowadays, when we accidentally run into each other, he pretends not to know me well. I know perfectly well that he's just hesitating. After all, not every man wants to be the rebound guy, right? But I know he'll come back to me eventually. Although Bo Lee is a civil servant, handsome and tall, he's already 32 years old and graduated from just an ordinary university. In the talent-rich, super metropolis of City S, he had no resources, no background, and even less money. Nothing particularly outstanding. He was desperate for a wife who could save him a decade of hard work, preferably an only child. But women these days aren't foolish either. Those from excellent families looked down on his background, while those from lesser ones didn't meet his standards. For the time being, he couldn't find a more suitable target than me. I didn't expect this day to come so soon, because in our previous life, he accompanied me to have an abortion, and we shared a little secret between us, which brought our relationship to a whole new level. At that time, we were in a stage of ambiguity. His mother fell ill with a moderate condition that required surgery in S City, but as a young man who had just started working, he hadn't saved up any money, so he turned to me for help. In my previous life, I readily agreed to lend him money. He pretended to be extremely grateful to me, but behind my back, He mocked me for being naive and rich, saying I used money to oppress him. Something I only found out years later from his social media posts. In this life, Bo Lee shamelessly tries to win my favor again. Ivy. I've been so busy with work lately that I haven't had time to reach out. How are you feeling now? He looked at my still flat belly with a face full of concern and asked. I'm fine, I replied with a smile, pretending not to care. But are you really planning to keep it? What if the organization finds out? Bo Lee deliberately leaned in and whispered in my ear. I found it quite amusing that he even brought up the organization. I was just a temp worker. After all, I might as well quit my job and stop working. Besides, having a child out of wedlock isn't illegal. These days, even illegitimate children have inheritance rights. He already has an illegitimate daughter back in his hometown, who must be about 6 years old by now. There's nothing I can do about it. The doctor said if I don't keep this baby, I might have trouble conceiving in the future, I said helplessly. Bo Lee looked at me with affectionate eyes, praising me as a good woman and a good mother, but lamenting that I had met with misfortune in love. We engaged in superficial small talk. When he sighed again, I began to feign concern for him. What's wrong? Is something happening at home? My mom is sick and needs surgery at First Hospital, but she doesn't have health insurance. Despite Bo Lee's polite refusal, I directly transferred him 50,000 yuan. I'm lending it to you. Your mother's health comes first. You're unfamiliar with this place, and aren't we friends, actually? I also wanted to ask for your help. I played the role of a naive sweetheart perfectly while making my request for him to pretend to be my boyfriend in front of my parents. Seeing how readily I handed over the money, Bo Lee couldn't wait to agree. He began pursuing me more openly and boldly, but my hot and cold attitude left Bo Lee utterly confused, so he planned an accidental incident, just like in the previous life, to instantly heat up the relationship between us. After work, Bo Lee, as usual, offered to take me home. This time, I declined. Brother Lee, we're just friends. It's not appropriate for you to take me home every day. Colleagues at work are starting to gossip, I said hesitantly, touching my slightly swollen belly. Ivy, there's nothing improper between us. Don't listen to those gossips. Aren't you pregnant? You need to be careful with everything. I know a century-old restaurant that serves excellent black chicken soup. Very good for pregnant women. I don't know if the black chicken soup tastes good because I didn't get to try it in my previous life. In this life, after a few polite refusals, I happily agreed to follow Bo Lee for some soup. The century-old shop was located in a crowded and dilapidated shantytown, and I followed his steps down a narrow path. All around were haphazardly built structures, and looking up, you could see the residents' colorful laundry and underwear hanging out to dry, blocking what little sunlight there was. Bo Lee felt extremely embarrassed as he helped me walk while glancing around. Ivy, I lived here before I got into university. Although it's an urban village, there are plenty of delicious foods you've probably never tried. I hope you don't mind. He knew I was a foodie. I smiled without saying a word, also carefully observing my surroundings. As we passed by the large tree near the spot where the incident happened in my previous life, I heard a faint sound from above. I pretended to check my phone for messages and quickly took a step to the side. Watch out, Ivy. At the same time, Bo Lee lunged toward me. We perfectly dodged each other. Unlike the previous life where Bo Lee pushed me aside, this time he intended to tackle me to the ground, using his body to shield me from the falling flower pot above. In that instant, it occurred to me that if I hadn't dodged, my stomach would have hit the ground, and Bo Lee would have killed 2 birds with 1 stone. In the end, I would have lost my child and still had to thank him for his life-saving grace. Bo Lee threw himself flat on the ground in front of me, and the flower pot smashed right onto his head. I quickly took out my phone and captured the figure peeking out furtively in a perfect shot. Then I exclaimed loudly, "Ah, Brother Lee, are you okay?" Bo Lee let out a cry of pain. In this life, I still didn't get to drink the black chicken soup. 120 took Bo Lee away. Bo Lee's carefully orchestrated hero saving the beauty came to an end. In the previous life, he only suffered a minor scrape on his arm, yet won the hearts of me and my parents. My parents changed their opinion of him, convinced he was a decent and honest man. I was moved by him once again. This time, he was bound to go for wool and come home shorn. In front of the nurse, I said, "Brother Lee, luckily you were there, otherwise, There was no surveillance there, and the homeowner wouldn't admit the flower pot was theirs. Oh, forget it then, maybe it was just an accident. Luckily, you're fine. Bo Lee said magnanimously, his forehead bandaged. That won't do. Who's going to take responsibility for your injury? You have a concussion. What if he did it on purpose? Throwing objects from heights is illegal. I've already called the police. Hearing my words, Bo Lee's expression changed. He failed to control his face, which twisted momentarily before he forced a smile and said, "Anyway, it's nothing serious. Let's be merciful where mercy is due." In his previous life, he used the same rhetoric, effortlessly fooling me while maintaining his image as a kind and magnanimous person. It wasn't until many years into our marriage, when I was already a cooked duck with no way out, that he let slip some clues during a drunken confession. Only after I was reborn did I realize that Bo Lee had been scheming against me from the very beginning. This time, I didn't give him what he wanted. I insisted on holding that person accountable for compensation, including Bo Lee's medical expenses and my own damages, claiming I was frightened as a pregnant woman. Based on the evidence I provided, the police officer quickly identified that person. Turns out he was from the same village as Bo Lee. If you say there's nothing shady between them, even a dog wouldn't believe it. At my insistence, that person was taken to the police station. "Hey, brother-in-law, you're so unfair. How could you make me pay for it? It was clearly you." "Shut up. Who's your brother-in-law? We're not even remotely related." Bo Lee's gentle and refined facade cracked slightly as he loudly scolded the sleazy man. I noticed him frantically giving the man meaningful looks. "What else don't I understand?" The man insisted it was an accident and even played the victim card. Complaining about his poverty to us, Bo Lee seized the opportunity to chime in. "Ivy, he's really struggling. No education, no job, and an elderly mother to support. It was just an accident. Let it go. I'm fine anyway. I always thought you were such a kind and wonderful person." Bo Lee, as the party involved, not only refused to pursue accountability but also subjected me to moral coercion. If I had persisted, it would have seemed like I was being heartless and cruel, taking advantage of my wealth. So I withdrew the lawsuit. Of course, Bo Lee didn't get the chance to claim credit from me either. He had to swallow his anger. Bo Lee and I didn't make our relationship public, but at work, we were already considered an unofficial couple. When my belly grew bigger, I resigned. Bo Lee also moved out of the company dormitory and into the downtown apartment my parents bought for me. He took care of all the daily household chores, cooking, laundry, cleaning, and also provided immense emotional support. He tolerated my unpredictable bad temper. He played the roles of a competent caretaker, boyfriend, and emotional dumping ground. In return, I played the role of a devoted love-struck fool. I bought him designer clothes and shoes, lent him my luxury car to drive, and even agreed to have my uncle promote him. My uncle is a city official, and Bo Lee tasted the benefits, transforming from a rookie at the start of his job into a rising star in his colleagues' eyes. My spoiling behavior made Bo Lee increasingly arrogant. He thought, just like in the previous life, that he had me under his control. So, he proposed to me. No wedding house, no car, no bride price. Just like in my past life, he shamelessly thought he could marry me with nothing but his so-called sincere heart. I couldn't help but sneer inwardly, refusing to agree on the spot. "Bo, I want to marry you too, but my dad." My hesitation made Bo Lee tense up. "Is it because your uncle and aunt don't agree? I know my family is poor, but I will definitely make you happy. I'll work hard to earn your parents' acceptance." "No. It's because my father is sick and needs a kidney transplant. I'm his only daughter, but I'm also pregnant. How could I possibly think about getting married at a time like this?" I said with difficulty. In my previous life, when my father learned I was determined to marry Bo Lee, he became so angry that he fell ill. He was later diagnosed with uremia. Although it wasn't at its most severe stage yet, his health deteriorated from then on. At that time, to show his sincerity, Bo Lee specifically went to the hospital to undergo a compatibility test with my father. Ironically, his kidney actually turned out to be a match for my dad's. At this moment, Bo Lee, being sharp-witted, instantly understood what I meant. "Ah, Uncle will definitely be fine. Maybe I should also go to the hospital to check if I can be a match for him." I knew what Bo Lee was thinking. Since he wasn't blood related to my father, the chances of a successful match were very low. But by expressing this attitude and showing such consideration, he would undoubtedly earn a lot of points in front of my parents. Great. Unlike my previous life where I hesitated, fearing it might be futile, this time my eyes lit up with excitement. Bo Lee was surprised that I didn't even make an excuse and immediately went to buy some fruits, pretending to visit my dad in the hospital. Without any hesitation, he went ahead and did the matching test. Watching his retreating figure, I sneered. In my previous life, due to his heroic rescue and a series of maneuvers, my parents changed their opinion of him, coupled with my unwavering determination to marry no one but him. My parents relented. After we got married, my father didn't agree to Bo Lee donating a kidney. He was completely loving the crow for the sake of the nest, treating his son-in-law as half a son, worrying that exchanging one healthy adult for two sick people wouldn't be worth it. Afraid it might affect my marital happiness, as donating a kidney could potentially lead to complications later, he only wished for my happiness, hoping that my husband, Bo Lee, would treat me well. Unfortunately, the human heart is unfathomable, and my father's hopes were dashed. My father couldn't wait for a kidney donor. His health deteriorated day by day. And in the end, he passed away before even reaching 60. Now, Bo Lee has voluntarily offered his kidney, and of course, I gladly accepted. All I want is his kidney. Every time I recall Bo Lee's look of disbelief when he saw the test results, I can't help but laugh. Ah, Bo, you're amazing. My dad is saved. I snatched the test results from Bo Lee's hands and excitedly informed my parents. Ha ha ha, I also hope Uncle can recover soon. Bo Lee didn't dare to look me in the eyes, probably thinking about how to go back on his word and refuse to donate a kidney. First, he used his mother as an excuse, saying she was unwell and went back to his hometown. Then he kept delaying the hospital visit for pre-surgery checkups. He casually sent me several news articles about the after-effects of kidney donation, ostensibly concerned about my father's health, but his true intentions were obvious. I saw right through it but remained unmoved. I just watched him scratch his head trying to find ways to refuse donating a kidney, yet it didn't affect my feelings for him. Ivy, after you give birth to this child, let's have one of our own, Bo Lee said affectionately, touching my swollen belly. Of course, Bo, I know you're good to me, and I won't let you down, but I've heard that men missing a kidney might have fertility issues. Bo Lee hesitated as he spoke. It's all rumors. You still have one left. The doctor said it won't affect your future life, and you don't do manual labor at work. Bo, I know I'm being somewhat selfish, but that's my dad. I looked at Bo Lee and spoke gently. He fell silent, saying nothing. I began to cry. Forget it, I might be asking too much of you. My dad should be getting a kidney donor soon. Let's wait a bit longer for our matters. Bo Lee quickly tried to comfort me. Just 1 week before my dad's kidney transplant surgery, Bo Lee's mother showed up uninvited. My mother-in-law from my previous life gave me a once-over as soon as she stepped inside. Even though she wore a smile, it was nothing more than a superficial, insincere grin. Oh my daughter-in-law is so beautiful. Bo always praises you in front of me. When are you due? I'll come take care of you during your confinement. You won't have to worry about a thing. Just enjoy yourself. The old woman was smooth-tongued, and in my past life, her sweet talk had me treating her like my own mother. But after my father passed away and Bo Lee was promoted by my uncle, once he secured his position, she quickly changed her tune. Together with Bo Lee, they bullied me, unleashing years of pent-up resentment on me. Auntie, you're too kind. I couldn't possibly trouble you. My parents have already hired a nanny for me. No longer dwelling on the old woman's disgusting behavior in my past life, I replied with a smile. The old woman came this time to stop her precious son from donating a kidney. The Lee family wants to have their cake and eat it too. Between the lines, she emphasized how difficult it was for Bo Lee and how much he loved and cherished me. She tried to make me feel guilty. I completely ignored her hints. The old woman wanted me and Bo Lee to get our marriage certificate before my dad's surgery, but I refused, citing a lack of mood and feeling unwell. Come on. Think of it as a way to ward off bad luck. There's a saying in our hometown, are you cursing my dad to die? What do you mean by warding off bad luck? My dad will live a long life. My face turned cold as I scolded her angrily. The old woman shut her mouth. after Bo Lee returned. The old woman sneaked into his room and didn't come out for a long time. I didn't pay much attention to it. As long as Bo Lee had ulterior motives towards my family, he had to donate a kidney to my father. On the day of my father's kidney transplant surgery, Bo Lee went missing. To show her sincerity, the old woman did go to the hospital. I anxiously called everyone I knew who was acquainted with Bo Lee, but I just couldn't find him. "Auntie, where on earth has Bo gone?" I asked, raising my voice slightly. "Ayo. How would I know? Didn't he go to work?" The old woman started playing dumb. "He never even went to work." "Bo Lee, you coward." I sent a voice message to Bo Lee. "How dare you speak like that? My son must have been delayed by something." The old woman's face wrinkled like a walnut as she couldn't help but snap at me fiercely. "If you don't want to donate the kidney, just say it outright. No one's forcing him. Going back on your word is no way for a real man to act. That's the fine son you raised." My mother was also furious. "My son is obviously a good man, unlike your daughter, knocked up before even getting married, a used-up shoe. You should be thanking my son for taking her in." The old woman couldn't hold back and started arguing with my mother, but her words were aimed at me. You. My mother was so angry she wanted to hit the old woman, but she was pushed down by the elderly woman, who had been doing manual labor for years. By then, my pregnancy was already showing, my body was heavy, and my father was still lying in a hospital bed waiting for surgery. We couldn't stop the old woman from making a scene. The old woman turned the tables, sitting on the ground and wailing about how city folks were bullying honest country people. "So what if you have a few stinking dollars? My son is a civil servant. This slut forced my son to dig out a kidney for her father. Everyone, judge for yourselves. Poor us, mother and son, cuckolded." The scene of this old woman throwing a tantrum, twisting the truth, spewing lies, and bullying us two, mother and daughter, overlapped with the past life when she bullied my mother and me after my father died and my uncle retired. So Bo Lee had long told her that the child in my belly wasn't from their Lee family, yet she still pretended to know nothing in front of me, acting as the child's grandmother. Who knows what they're saying about me behind my back? With old grudges and new grievances, I couldn't help but step forward and slap the old woman twice. She was short and thin, spinning right in place from the force. Humiliated, the old woman jumped up to kick me in the stomach, but my mother stopped her. My mother, fiercely protective of her daughter, sat on the old woman's stomach, this usually gentle woman now slapping her repeatedly. "Stop." Seeing his own mother being bullied so miserably, the missing Bo Lee finally showed up. Turns out, he had been hiding in a corner of the hospital, secretly watching us the whole time. "Where the hell have you been?" I preemptively snapped at him. "I got into a car accident, my phone was smashed, and I just rushed here." "Why are you bullying my mom?" Bo Lee shouted at me even louder, his voice filled with grievance and disbelief, but his clothes and his body showed no signs of having just been in a car accident. If I hadn't lived with him for over 30 years in my past life, I might have been fooled by him. "Woo-woo, son, they're all bullying me." The old woman broke free from my mother and ran towards Bo Lee, playing the victim first without any trace of her earlier fierce tigress demeanor, a seasoned actress, just like in the previous life. "Woo-woo, Bo, it was Auntie who started it. She pushed my mom down, called me a slut, and even tried to kick my stomach. You can check the surveillance footage. I'm no pushover either." I cried even more pitifully than the old woman. The onlookers around also echoed my sentiments. Bo Lee was left speechless. "Hurry up and go for the surgery. My dad is still waiting for you." I quickly wiped away my tears, not forgetting the main issue at hand. My mom needs treatment. "Ivy, let's do it another day. You've already signed the organ donation consent form. It's not good to back out now. My father is already on the operating table, waiting for you." I stared into Bo Lee's eyes and spoke word by word. "Bullshit. If my son loses a kidney, what if it affects his ability to have children? He's the only male heir in 3 generations of our Lee family. If the lineage ends, can you take responsibility?" The old woman shrieked at me. I scoffed inwardly. "Doesn't Bo Lee's illegitimate daughter back in his hometown count as offspring, Auntie? Bo said he would treat the baby in my womb as his own child. I didn't even ask you for a bride price, and I'm bringing a dowry of 300,000 yuan. The house and car are all ready. My uncle even thinks highly of Bo. What more do you want from me?" I touched my belly and said with grievance, "I didn't force Bo. He agreed to it himself. Our family won't treat him unfairly." Bo Lee was put in a difficult position by me. His breach of trust could spread throughout his workplace within a day. And besides, everything was his own choice. In the end, he dragged the foul-mouthed old woman away. He entered the operating room as if performing a heroic act of righteousness. My father recovered well after the surgery, and his health improved day by day. In contrast, Bo Lee gradually developed post-surgical complications. He firmly grasped the opportunity given by my uncle, focusing solely on climbing the social ladder, while neglecting his own physical condition. Bo Lee's mother has been living in my house under the pretext of taking care of her son. I can't help but admire the old woman's audacity. She can quickly drop her pride and reconcile with me, acting as if nothing happened that day, and I play along like an amnesia patient. We, the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, are harmonious. Not only did she overstay her welcome, but she also summoned Bo Lee's illegitimate daughter and her mother from their hometown. I saw Bo Lee's illegitimate daughter, the 6-year-old Jowdy. Just like in the previous life, she was thin and small, plain-looking, and timid. Jowdy's mother is called Wang Area. She is 3 years older than Bo Lee, dressed plainly without any adornments, and claims to be Bo Lee's distant divorced cousin with a tragic background. My due date is also approaching. Bo Lee's mother has been trying, both overtly and covertly, to push out the nanny my mom hired for me, wanting that woman to take her place. But I'm not as easygoing as I was in my past life, so I firmly refused. However, I didn't kick out this mother-daughter pair either. Wang Area was always eager to do household chores at home and showed me great care. She knew Bo Lee earlier than I did and seemed more like a child bride in his family. I never saw her as the other woman. I always thought she was a poor rural woman poisoned by feudal ideology and deceived by Bo Lee. In my previous life, she waited for Bo Lee for over 30 years. It wasn't until I nearly slipped on the glossy floor that I realized, the pitiable often have their own despicable traits. The nanny held me back and carefully examined the floor, telling me that it seemed to have oil on it. I checked the surveillance footage expressionlessly and found that, just as the nanny had said, Wang Area had secretly wiped the floor with oil. Wang Area had once worked as a cleaner and a nanny. How could she not know how to mop the floor properly? She clearly wanted me to have a miscarriage. I think of my 2 miscarriages in my previous life, during my first pregnancy. Under my mother-in-law's instigation and Wang Area's pitiful pleas, I allowed the mother and daughter to stay, with Wang Area taking over the housekeeping duties. Not long after she arrived, I had a miscarriage. At the time, I didn't think much of it, attributing it solely to my own physical condition. In the following years, I became pregnant again, but inexplicably miscarried once more. Looking back now, my miscarriage was definitely related to Wang Area, but in my previous life, I never suspected her until the day I died. I called my parents. As soon as my mother entered, she confronted Wang Area. The woman faced our questioning and shamelessly denied it without blushing or her heart skipping a beat. I just wanted the floor to be cleaner and shinier. I didn't mean to do it on purpose. You know, are you some delicate young lady who's never lifted a finger, using cooking oil to mop the floor? Pa, stop pretending. You deliberately wanted hooey to slip and fall. The nanny spat fiercely at Wang Area, pointing at her nose and accusing her of ill intentions. Wang Area sobbed pitifully. Bo Lee's mother was still helping her on the side. This disgusted me beyond words. A woman pushing 40, built like a tank, yet putting on the airs of a delicate young girl. Who did she think she was fooling? Hooey. My cousin didn't mean it. She's a country woman who doesn't know any better. She thought oil was a cleaning agent. Bo Lee began playing the peacemaker. I know he's always wanted to get rid of the baby in my belly openly and honestly. If this has nothing to do with him, I'll write my surname upside down. When she first came, she said she'd been a nanny for 10 years. But now she can't tell cooking oil from cleaning detergent. Let her go. My home can't accommodate such a distinguished guest. I looked at Wang Area's old face and sneered coldly. No, I won't leave. Wang Area, as if possessed by a Cheong Yao drama, knelt on the ground, clutching Bo Lee's pant leg and refusing to let go. Don't you dare bully my mom. I suddenly felt a strong force hit me from behind. My body lurched forward, and just as I was about to fall, my parents, who had been watching me closely, caught me. my father cushioned my fall beneath me, while my mother held my hand, preventing me from hitting the ground. Li Xiaodi pushed me. In my previous life, she stirred my maternal love and sympathy, and later, with Bo Li's encouragement, I took her in as my goddaughter. I provided her with food and drink, helped her through college, and arranged for her to meet outstanding young men. Who would have thought that the seemingly honest and pitiful little girl was anything but honest at heart? How did she repay me? Enjoying my kindness while conspiring with her biological mother, father, and grandmother to deceive me, calling me a barren old woman behind my back. She took my property for granted as if it were hers. I turned around and glared fiercely at Li Xiaodi, saying, "You get out too." Seeing the situation turning unfavorable, Bo Li suddenly slapped Li Xiaodi, knocking her to the ground. "How could you push Aunt Song? What have I taught you? Apologize now." Bo Li scolded and hit Li Xiaodi, but his eyes were fixed on me. Li Xiaodi's face was covered in blood from the beating. She crawled toward me to apologize, but perhaps due to her young age, she couldn't hide the look of hatred in her eyes directed at me. Wang Area also knelt down and kowtowed to me. I no longer feel the slightest sympathy or softness toward them in my heart. "Get out, all of you." Seeing that begging me was completely ineffective, they turned to plead with Bo Li, the so-called head of the household. "Bo, say something. Don't drive us away. We mother and daughter have no way to survive." Sob, sob. "Bo, no matter what, she is still your cousin. Hui, we're all family." Bo Li's mother glanced at me and persuaded. My father's impression of Bo Li had already taken a nosedive, even though he had donated a kidney to him. I ignored them and, under the disbelieving stares of the Li family, directly dialed the police. Wang Area and her mother were driven away as if they had suffered some grave injustice. Bo Li and his mother were seething with anger but dared not speak out. Under my parents' arrangements, I was admitted to the hospital to await childbirth. Meanwhile, Bo Li had to shuttle between work and the hospital, taking care of me every day. I was well nourished and glowing with health, while he grew increasingly thin, so much so that his mother shed tears in front of me out of worry. Yet they couldn't earn an ounce of my sympathy. I wanted them to know the price of trying to take advantage of me. I successfully gave birth to a daughter and registered her household registration under my parents' home. I didn't fill in the father's name on my daughter's birth certificate, and Bo Li seemed to have forgotten about it too, never asking. I never mentioned marrying him, even until the child's first-month celebration. Bo Li grew anxious. "Ivy, everyone at work is saying I got you pregnant before marriage. When are we going to get our marriage certificate? I can't be an irresponsible man." "Alright, let's do it when our daughter turns 100 days old. I also need to lose weight to fit into a wedding dress." Bo Li happily began preparing for the wedding with his mother. I laughed, thinking that the day of the wedding ceremony would be the day Bo Li faced public humiliation and the day we settled our score. On the day of the wedding ceremony, many of Bo Li's colleagues and superiors came, all congratulating us, the newlyweds. Bo Li was in high spirits, now serving as the mayor's secretary, with a bright political future ahead of him. The mother-in-law's wrinkled face was beaming with joy, though occasionally her gaze toward me and my daughter was filled with disgust. No matter how much injustice they suffered the night before, they would face me with smiles the next day. Sometimes I really admire their endurance. In my previous life, my mother-in-law endured for over 10 years until her son achieved success and reached a high position, and I was left without support. Only then did they start to retaliate against me. But I'm different, being able to endure until the wedding with Bo Li was already my limit. I watched the entrance of the hotel lobby, waiting for the arrival of uninvited guests. "Dad, don't marry this bad woman. Mom and I are still waiting for you," just as Bo Li and I were about to exchange wedding rings. A 7-year-old girl wearing shabby clothes and with severely malnourished hair rushed in, shouting loudly. Li Xiaodi had arrived. The entire venue fell silent instantly. Bo Li's refined face twisted in anger as he gritted his teeth, urging Li Xiaodi to leave. "Xiaodi, I'm your uncle. I must be out of my mind. Hurry back to your mother." "What nonsense is this silly girl shouting?" "My apologies, she's just a simple-minded country girl with issues." The mother-in-law pinched Li Xiaodi's arm, covering her mouth as she tried to drag her away. "I won't go. Dad, are you abandoning us?" Mom is here too. I want to live in a big house and buy new clothes. Li Xiaodi bit her mother-in-law, struggled free, and ran over, grabbing Bo Li's sleeve as she cried. Bo Li angrily and anxiously shook Li Xiaodi off. Ivy, I don't know what's gotten into this child. She started talking nonsense, holding my daughter. I took a step back toward my parents. He asked calmly, is she your illegitimate daughter? Bo Li, can you explain what's going on? My father stepped in front of me and asked angrily. While Bo Li and my mother-in-law were making excuses, Wang Area also ran in. Bo, you can't abandon us, your wife and child, even though we never officially registered our marriage. The whole village knows I'm your Li family's daughter-in-law. My brother got into trouble, and now my mother wants to marry me off again for bride price. Sob. You can't just leave us like this. Wang Area hugged Li Xiaodi as they knelt on the ground, crying, nonsense, she's just the village lunatic, who knows which bastard fathered that child. She's deliberately trying to ruin my son, the mother-in-law shrieked, stepping forward to beat Wang Area's head while ordering the security guards to drag them away. Without my nod of approval, the guards didn't move, seeing Bo Li and his mother deny her identity. Wang Area pulled out many A4 printed sheets from her cloth bag, scattering them as she shouted, this is the DNA paternity report between my daughter Xiaodi and Bo. It's real. Bo Li and his mother-in-law hurried to destroy the reports, but they couldn't stop everyone from seeing the truth. They began to whisper among themselves, Bo Li, I can't go through with this marriage. Your illegitimate daughter is already 7 years old, and your whole family has been lying to me together. I said loudly into the microphone, no, Ivy, we already have a child together. Please listen to my explanation. That was all many years ago, Bo Li said anxiously. The daughter is mine, not yours. We both know the truth, and you've gotten what you wanted. We're even now. Seeing my resolute attitude and realizing the wedding couldn't proceed, the old woman began shamelessly ranting. Pa, you cheap slut, getting pregnant before marriage. Shameless, my son didn't even look down on you. Yet you dare to be picky. Don't forget your father still has one of my son's kidneys in his body. Burning bridges after crossing the river, you'll be struck by lightning and die a wretched death. My poor son, this kind of shameless and mean old woman, the more you argue with her, the more she'll push her luck. Completely disregarding decency, my parents quickly pulled me away from the back. Mother Li and her son tried to step forward to stop us but were blocked by the security guards. Even after walking far away, I could still hear the old woman's curses behind me. Bo Li lost both face and dignity at that wedding, due to issues with his lifestyle. He was reported and quickly transferred from his position, his future ruined, becoming a laughingstock in the workplace. Ivy, where have you gone? You sold the house, and my mother and I were kicked out. Back then, I was forced to. I really didn't mean to deceive you. Can you forgive me? Our daughter can't grow up without a father. Bo Li pleaded over the phone. The house was always mine. I can sell it if I want to. What's the problem? Weren't you eager for my daughter to die? Now we mother and daughter won't be in your way anymore. I replied mockingly. Ivy Song, did you do this on purpose? You set me up. I was wondering how that country bumpkin Wang Area could expose me and even knew about the paternity report. It was all your scheme, and I gave your father a kidney. Bo Li finally realized something. Oh, tit for tat, isn't it? Didn't my uncle promote you? When your mother came to S City for treatment, didn't I give you 50,000 yuan? Didn't I buy you luxury goods? Didn't I give you money to build a house in your hometown? Don't be too greedy, you bitch. You played me. You ruined my future. You took one of my kidneys for just over 100,000 yuan. And now I have complications. I'm going to sue you. I won't let you get away with this. Suit yourself. I blocked all contact with Bo Li, turned off my phone, and boarded the plane. My parents and I are moving abroad to settle down. I never heard from Bo Li again until the following Lunar New Year, when my uncle reached out to me. He told me what happened to Bo Li afterward, after we went abroad. Bo Li's health deteriorated significantly, reportedly developing uremia. He couldn't afford a kidney transplant for treatment, and his workplace even organized a donation drive for him. His mental state also became problematic, frequently clashing with colleagues and superiors. There was even an incident where he took a knife to his uncle's office door to vent his anger, fortunately stopped by security. Later, He stopped going to work. On New Year's Day, he stabbed Wang Area, stabbing her more than 10 times, and Wang Area died on the spot. This incident caused a huge uproar. Bo Li was admitted to a mental hospital, and with his uremia, it's uncertain how many years he has left to live. His mother suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and has been bedridden ever since, now barely clinging to life. As for Li Xiaodi, she became an orphan and was sent to an orphanage. Upon learning the fate of the Li family, I felt no schadenfreude, only a quiet sense of calm. It was there just deserts, my parents, my daughter, and I have started a new life, and the future ahead of me is bright.